We'll continue our study of the Brahma Vihara, Divine Words, page 126. In this concluding study, we'll look at some details on how to practice in various stages of loving kindness, and then we will have a quick look at the remaining divine words, and also see how we can practice them in our daily life. The Buddha's teaching is meant for daily practice. Of course, we can study all these teachings as philosophy and many other disciplines, but the most important thing is to experience Buddhism as our life itself. And if you can do that, you'll be very happy. When we look at ourselves, we've got to question ourselves occasionally. How much of ourselves is really ourselves? In the sense that how are we guiding ourselves consciously, mindfully, or are we simply following what people say, what people tell us? We're simply building on people's ideas, which is not bad in itself, but we can't always be stuck in such ideas. Ideas being what they are, products of the mind, especially other people's mind and our own mind, hold us back. Ideas, views hold us back from growing. Because ideas are like pictures, they become fixed after a while. That's a view. No, when we say view, that means you look at something. And when once you look at something, it's only one aspect of the mountain, of a building, of a person. Let's say you just met me for 5 minutes, and then you go away. Whatever I do in 5 minutes, it's going to be me. That's your idea of me. So whether you like me or hate me, will based on the 5 minutes. And sometimes you might know a person throughout the person's life. Still, there's a lot for us to find out. Like the Buddha, we know so much about him, and yet you don't really know him until you're awakened. So the purpose of meditation is self-awakening, to look at yourself, see within yourself that ability to touch the inner peace. That's a simple message of Buddhism. Whatever is outside of you is not real. But it is real like virtual reality. But the true reality is inside you. And that's what's going to help us understand. So loving kindness is one way, one kind of meditation we can use to, in a sense, purify our hearts or our minds. How we look at people, how we look at ourselves, to accept ourselves as we are. And with the kind of self-acceptance, we are also able to accept other people. I have friends, I know people, I know all kinds of people. Some are very happy, some are very sad. So it's a wide range of people. In a sense, I feel very privileged. I know people horizontally in a sense that I know the happiest to the saddest. I also know particularly from the lowliest to the almost right to the top, if you like. And I know them through the Dharma, through meditation, not through politics, not through hobnobbing, not because they are important people. In fact, frankly, I don't enjoy meeting important people. Because when you meet them, you can never be yourselves. You can never talk about the Dharma. You're not really interested in Dharma. Of course, if you're interested in Dharma, that's wonderful. So if I meet people, in a sense, I meet them on my own terms. We meet in the Dharma. That's wonderful. Yeah? In other words, we meet happily. You want to be happy? Then you can come here. Otherwise, I'm sure we both have better things to do. So in loving kindness meditation, we begin with ourselves, right? Section 3.2.1. We begin with ourselves because it's the best place to begin. Charity begins at home. Love also begins at home. And this is your home, your body and your mind. Your mind, your consciousness is said to be Chitta Savokam, the home of the mind, or the house of the mind. Right? So we begin here by accepting ourselves as we are. So some people I know, they're so unhappy, they're so afraid of themselves. They just can't relate to other people. They do one job after another and it's just, they couldn't connect. I keep telling them, you got to accept this. You really got to accept yourself. And then occasionally, I'll be surprised. They'll write to me an email and say, oh, I'm so happy, I think now I can accept myself. I don't know why it took so long. That's one thing, if you're in touch with the Dharma and your friends don't give up hope on you, sooner or later, we will naturally blossom. And this is the faith we must have in people. That is why we need to keep on telling them the Dharma. Of course, those who don't change are those who think that they're already perfect. They can be troubling. You notice at the end of our loving kindness practice, we send out loving kindness everywhere. And the last part, we bring everything back to ourselves again. So we begin our loving kindness with ourselves, may I be well and happy, and then we also close the loving kindness by bringing it back home, so to speak. The loving kindness is always there in our hearts. So this is found, for example, in the D13, point section 76. It's given on page 126. Then, so once you bring up this loving kindness, and how do we do this? We sub-verbalize. Sub-verbalize, that means you mentally say, right? Of course you can, if you are very distracted, you can verbalize, softly say it out. And there's a proper way of saying it. Normally we do not say too long or too often. We just say 2-3 times. May I be well, may I be well. And then those words serve the purpose of reminding us to focus on positive mental attitude. And it's also telling the mind, I want you to be happy. I want you to be happy. That is a very powerful part of our consciousness, the so-called doer. This is the past karma, telling us they're no good, we are failures, we should be depressed, things like that, negative things. And it is like a loop, a tape recorder, a taped message. This is samsara, telling us all these negative things. So we can counter this loop by putting in a happy message. That's what we are doing. May I be well, may I be happy, may I be at peace with myself, may I be free from anger. I accept myself just as I am. This one line alone is so magical. Some people manage to break through the shell of their past painful conditioning by just saying, I accept myself just as I am. And they keep saying that, and they feel it. So you go on saying this, and then silence, you say this, silence, and you feel at peace with yourself. Another way is you can use images, visualization, happy moments in your life. There's a proper way of doing this. You need to recall some really happy event. Imagine it's happening right here, right now, you're in the middle of it, and this wonderful feeling is coming back. It could be something like maybe you were at Lake Takeko in New Zealand, and you see this beautiful night sky, millions of stars, and you just sit quietly and then imagine, visualize, and then you feel this joy coming back. That's what we want. Okay? Or maybe you are with a very happy family gathering. You feel so happy. And don't get lost in the details. The details are not important. They are only there to help us bring back this very happy memory. And once the memory comes, the feeling comes, and slowly you can let go of the story. As long as you need the story, the images, use them. Once you're very happy, you will naturally find that you don't need them. And let go of this and just the feeling. And then you feel very happy, very peaceful. or some sense of peacefulness. Then you go to the second stage, to other people. Second stage, the most wonderful person in your life. Now this stage also you have to be very careful. It should not be someone you are romantically linked with, your spouse, lover, close friend, or even parents in Asia, by the way, because traditional Asians can be very close with their parents. The reason is because at this early stage, it may be difficult to get loving kindness to arise. Instead, desire might arise, or guilt might arise. Right? For there was one case where this kind woman, she started crying when she did the second stage. During the feedback period, she said she was thinking of the Buddha. And she was not supposed to do that, because she felt, oh dear, I've not been a good daughter, I've not served my mother well, things like that. She felt very sad. I mean, she's a wonderful, good person. It's just that it's too early to put such a person in the second stage because the loving kindness is not so strong yet. So in the second stage, we will put someone we know well, someone very kind to us, very wonderful to us, someone still living, not someone who's dead. If you choose a dead person, after a while, speculations might arise. What happened to this person? What happens when a person dies? And you lose concentration. So choose a living person, a very happy person, a relative, a friend, or a teacher. It can be more than one person. Then you picture this person happy, smiling right before you, or sitting beside you. You can recall some happy events with this person if you like, and then send this loving kindness to this wonderful person. May you be well, may you be happy, may you be at peace with yourself. I accept you just as you are, and so on. Say the words, silence, send out the feeling, and feel the joy to this wonderful person. And then we visualize a lotus flower in our center of our hearts. This is just a skillful means, so that the mind can hold on to something palpable, something concrete, if you like. Because it's for some people it's very difficult to imagine loving kindness. So we imagine there's this source of loving kindness, beautiful white lotus in the center of our heart. And if we say center of the heart, some people who are very scientific, they start thinking of this heart, kind of pulsating, very imaginative, So we use a lotus in the center of the heart. And then this lotus is opening up, radiant and bright, shining like the sun itself. Imagine, very bright, beautiful. And there are people who say that they could imagine this beautiful bright light, and they're so happy when they start. So this lotus is opening, it's very bright, the brightness brightens up our body and mind, and shining outwards, shining on this wonderful person, and shining on everyone around us. So you can imagine this bright light, loving kindness, brightening up everyone in the room, in the house, in the office, everyone alike. Loving kindness is the leveler. We send our loving kindness just like the sun, the light of the sun, shining on everyone, wishing everyone well and happy. That's really charitable. We don't say, oh, I like this person more, so I'm sending this person more loving kindness. Not like that. We send it to everyone, and the effect is amazing if you do this regularly. And one thing you will notice, even as you do this, you feel so good, so light, so happy. Because when you have a happy thought, negative thoughts cannot arise. Now then you have this very dreadful fourth stage. Fourth stage is where we think of someone negative, someone we don't like, someone who has hurt us, or someone we have wronged and we feel very bad about it. But someone we have wronged is not too difficult, I think. We can still say, may you be well, may you be happy, may you forgive me for the wrong things I've done. And for someone who has really hurt us, it's not so easy. So if you're not ready for this fourth stage, you can omit this stage. Just wait when you're ready. Just try a bit first. When you feel very joyful, very calm, try to picture this person. You say, you'll be well and happy. And if you feel good and calm and peaceful, you have found closure. The aspect of your life is healed, so to speak. Yes? So in other words, we do not want, what we are hurt with is a memory. This memory is hurting us. So we want to clear away this memory. This person who's hurt us is probably dead, probably a different person, or this person is suffering, And this is where we can go on to the second stage, having compassion to deal with this kind of person. So, whenever you have difficulty with this fourth kind of person, just take a step back, go to another stage, choose someone happy. So, of course, you can forgive this person who has hurt you. You can say, I forgive you. I accept you completely. Simply say it in your mind. Then when you come out of your meditation, you find you are stronger. In other words, once you are meditating, do not judge yourself or anyone. Just say, it's like taking medicine. You don't just read the label, see the color of the bottle, you don't drink that, you don't take the medicine. Just take the medicine. Let the medicine do its work. So here you see this, the stages kind of they're vertical, right? Yourself, then to this most wonderful person, neutral person, negative person, and then you start sending out horizontally, geographically. So you visualize where you are, everyone in the room, everyone in the same floor or same house. So some people have difficulty imagining this. So maybe it helps to look at the house, just look around. But there's a kind of awareness. Or just have a feeling like this space around you. And everyone in this building, in this house, in this office, be well and happy. And then the whole building, imagine the whole building. So this is where you imagine the sun shining, brightening up the whole building, house. And remember, we send our loving-kindness to humans as well as all beings. Your beings can include animals or other kinds of beings, whether you believe in them or not. You say, well, maybe we have this wonderful atmosphere around us, right? Of joy and peace. And then the neighborhood, okay? So you have a general idea of the surrounding areas. And you can imagine your loving kindness, or imagine you are like this bright sun, shining, brightening up everything, the neighborhood. And then the whole country. But Singapore is not a very big place, it's very easy to imagine. Imagine you are in Thailand or America, it's huge. So you will kind of more or less go by sections. Of course, you will find that this kind of stages are too tedious. You can just expand, use a big area. For example, from your home, and the next thing is the whole country. It's okay. The idea is to visualize the space that you wish to extend your loving kindness. You can also imagine your loving kindness like radio waves sending upwards, touching everyone, making them happy. But sunlight is the best, because sunlight kind of, is bright, it's warm, healthy. And visualizing helps in the early stages. You can visualize one person, a very happy person, or you can visualize a group of people. Remember people when you're happy. So picture them happy, smiling. Or remember them when they're happy and smiling in real life. And then, of course, in your meditation too, it helps to gently smile in your heart occasionally. Just feel it. So, even in this directional practice, and anytime you feel so happy, you feel so peaceful, just stop a while. Don't make it so mechanical and ritual. Meditation is not a ritual. Meditation is learning to calm yourself. Meditation is letting go of negative thoughts, energies. So when you feel very nice and peaceful at any stage, just remain still and calm and just enjoy the peace. Don't say anything. And then when the thoughts come back, and continue practice like that. In fact, if you do it properly, you find you're becoming actually more and more peaceful. And you find when you're peaceful, you don't feel like saying anything. So you'll notice it all very naturally. Then after the whole country, then areas nearby, other countries, and then the whole world. Now the whole world can be a bit tricky. Here again, be careful not to rationalize. We're talking about our perception of the world, our consciousness of the world. Of course, as humans we are aware of this big globe. There are lots of people on it. So here, using the sun as an analogy of lovingkindness is very helpful. The sun brightens up half the world, very bright, healthy, warm. Some people are a bit rationalistic and say, oh, but the other half, it's dark night, isn't it? Okay, imagine a beautiful full moon shining on the other side. So you have the bright sun, the full moon shining on both sides. And everyone is enjoying this bright light of your loving kindness. And they all be well, may they be happy. And oh yes, for the whole country, the whole world, you can select certain people, like the whole country, it's like your family. Send your loving kindness to your family, your relatives, neighbors, and so on. Then overseas, to people you know who are living overseas. And sometimes you recall some forgotten friends. It's a really wonderful thought. And then next thing you know is the email you say, I was thinking about you last night, last time you were meditating. It's a wonderful surprise, isn't it? So imagine, I mean, if you have a group of friends, now with the internet, you can have I don't know what to call it, a metta book or meditation book, whatever. Then you say, okay, a certain time, GMT, okay? Let's everyone throughout the world get up and do like 5 minutes of loving kindness. Send out to everybody. So can you imagine you have little dots of people all over the world and they're all doing loving kindness. That's wonderful, isn't it? Doing it at the same time. Right? And of course, those who are sleeping, it's okay, remember them. So that is throughout the world. And then comes the most important stage, the last stage. It's called breaking the barriers. What are the barriers? Barriers here means the limitations. We say our family, that's a limitation. My friends, that person, these are all limitations. Whereas the last stage, we don't name anyone, all beings, everywhere. So we picture ourselves here, and we start directionally. All beings in the front quarter, so it's one quarter, see, four, right? So we visualize this this front quarter, can be any direction, not necessarily east or west, front. So we visualize this brightness shining from the center of our heart, shining right to the end of the universe, bathing all beings everywhere, all the universes, if there are other universes out there. May they all be well, may they be happy. They're capable of that kind of vision. Imagine bright light of loving kindness shining. And then the right quarter, all the beings in the directions to the right. That's the right quarter. And to the back, the left side. Then below. So imagine, below, you're in the center of the universe, then above. So you imagine you are this little person meditating, and the universe all around you. And then the directions in between. And then everywhere, bright, like a star shining. And then finally, we bring back all the bright loving kindness back into your heart. Petals are closing, still bright, keeping your body radiant and bright. All the lotus is always bright. The loving kindness is always there. So when you're angry, remember loving kindness, so your anger subsides. When you're afraid, this loving kindness is there. Recall it. The positive thought pushes away the negative thoughts. So this idea of this loving kindness is always there. It's very healing. So for those of you who are sick, you're going to have cancer, visualize this bright light of loving kindness and shine it in that area, part of your body which is not so well. And picture that part healing itself. And you're becoming better, happier, and so on. Keep on doing this regularly. And there are amazing stories of people who heal themselves this way. So this idea of being radiant with loving kindness is very helpful. Okay, so that's the practice, right? There are some other points that might be helpful to us. Very often people living in crowded areas, busy areas, urban areas, suffer from some kind of self-hate. They don't like themselves, maybe they think they are failing, and so on. Maybe they thought they've done something wrong. The question is, who told us we've done something wrong? This is all from conditioning, from what other people tell us. These are misperceptions, and some of these kind of thoughts can be very negative. So this is where loving kindness practice is very healing. We say, I accept myself just as I am. I'm letting go of all these negative thoughts. And this is why it's very important to practice, to say some very simple words. May I be well, may I be happy. I accept myself just as I am. And I fall asleep on that. Okay? We'll talk a bit more about this a little later on the blessings of the various benefits of loving kindness. There's a bit more to go. So loving kindness needs to be practiced every day. It's not easy. Sometimes we get very upset, we're very tired, we're in a crowded bus or train and we don't feel like loving kindness, you know. Well, that's when that's why you need to practice regularly when you're happy and comfortable and quiet and in a spacious place. You go on practicing that. Then the loving kindness becomes more natural. So wherever you go, you begin to have that natural sense of loving kindness. So you may be in a crowded train, you're in a difficult situation, the loving kindness is there to help you. And if you're a working person, this loving kindness will make you a true professional. Because remember, this the four Brahma Viharas, the four divine abodes, they're also called the four qualities of a true professional. Because if you are truly a professional person, meaning someone who is an expert in the kind of work you're doing, number one is you are very happy with your work, with yourself, with your profession. It's loving kindness. And you accept people who come to you just as they are, to help them. And then second quality is compassion. And when people come to us as professionals, they need help, and you know that they are helpless, so you feel compassion towards them. You want to help them. The desire to help them is compassion, and you do it in a very practical, happy, proper, expert way. And then there are those who benefit from what you have done and feel happy for them, or people who somehow feel happy, and you say, yeah, that's great. And you feel you don't need to help them. That's the third quality. And then finally, when we try our best, sometimes we succeed, sometimes we don't. People are happy with us, sometimes they're not. But we maintain a calmness in face of success, in face of failure, in place of gain and loss, happiness and sorrow, praise and blame. We remain calm, peaceful. So these are the four qualities of a true professional. Now, so that is loving kindness. Now the second Brahma Vihara or divine abode is compassion. Loving kindness is when you show your unconditional acceptance of everyone just as they are. Compassion is kind of top-down. Maybe you know someone is not happy, someone has pain and suffering. So someone unfortunate, and you picture this person. And the Vibhanga says this of this matter, page 131, section 4.1. And how does a monk or meditator dwell pervading one direct with his heart filled with compassion? Just as he would feel compassion on seeing a person who is miserable, of bad ways, so he pervades all beings with compassion. Right, so when you see someone in a train a little unfriendly, a little selfish, or maybe a little smelly in a crowded train, and show your compassion. Say, oh, look at these people, they're okay, they're working so hard, and so on. And of course, you can also use a non-human here, a cat or a dog that is hurt. For some people, this is easier. And then maybe you see someone in trouble with the law, and they are going through a lot of difficulties, you show compassion to them. And then you build your practice up like that. So then 4.2, the remaining subjects for compassion. Having aroused our compassion for someone suffering or unfortunate, then we go on to direct this compassion to a dear person, someone close to us, and show this compassion to this person, and then to a neutral person, and then a hostile person. So we send it out like that. And then when you finish, it's to come back to loving kindness, back to yourself. Remember, loving kindness is always there. In a sense, my understanding is that when you practice the 4 Brahma Viharas, they're all refinement of loving kindness, application of loving kindness. And loving kindness is applied to someone unfortunate, it's called compassion. So when you finish, you come back, you got to come back to the loving kindness, closing with yourself with loving kindness. And gladness, you begin with someone who's very happy, successful, someone who has done well, maybe, and say, wow, good, this person is successful, sadhu. And then, so in other words, this is a kind of a very positive person. Then after that, you go on to a neutral person. This is section 5.2. And then hostile person. Okay. So more or less the sequence is dear person, neutral person, hostile person, and then back to yourself. So you picture this. So after the first person is that feeling, you send out that feeling, direct that feeling to the other people. In fact, you must always begin with loving kindness first. You can't like go straight into compassion, so to speak. You have to build up some loving kindness first. I mean, imagine you can't just be equanimous straight away. It's not easy. You have to build up this loving kindness. And of course, how fast a person does it is depends on the practice. Equanimity. So equanimity, you have loving kindness. It's because of your loving kindness that you feel, oh, okay, this person is suffering, you show compassion. This person is doing well, oh, good, sadhu. But then somehow you wish you could succeed better in your work, help more people, but that's not the case. The world is such. People sometimes just don't respond, or do not seem to know how to respond. So you say, okay, never mind. May you all be at peace with yourselves. May I be at peace with myself. We all fare according to our karma, and we all do good karma, so that this good karma will push us away the bad karma, things like that. So equanimity is where you accept things as they are. So here you extend equanimity successively to a normally neutral person. It's very interesting, isn't it? You start with a neutral person, and then you go on to a dear person, a close friend, and then yourself. Direct the feeling in that kind of sequence. 6.2. This is under 6.2. Now, some finer details how to preserve the quality of your divine abodes. Here, section 7.1, near enemies and far enemies. Here, near enemies are negative emotions which appear to be so positive, but they're not really that kind of quality. Far enemies are clearly the opposite negative quality. For example, in the case of loving kindness, lust is a near enemy. That is why we are careful never to think of someone we like very much, or a girlfriend or boyfriend. You even start out with that kind of person, but then lust might arise. That's called the near enemy, and it is going to distract you. Far enemy, of course, is ill will, anger. Right? So we have to overcome that. In compassion, grief is especially grief based on a household life. I mean, let's say you bought a lottery ticket, you didn't get the first prize, you're very upset, so you do loving kindness, say, oh, poor me. It won't work that way, okay? So, it's not grief. You feel a sense of, I want to do something to help this person, alright? Something like that. So it's not grief. And grief is the near enemy. The far enemy is cruelty. We think of nasty things to do to someone. That is the opposite of compassion. So we've got to go back. If that kind of thought arises, we've got to go back to loving kindness. And in terms of the third divine abode, gladness, the near enemy is household joy. Maybe you start thinking about your favorite television program and you say, oh, that's nice, but that's not going to be very helpful. So you have to let go of the kind of thought, but think of someone who's really happy, successful, and feel good about that kind of situation. And the far enemy, of course, aversion, which includes jealousy, anger, things like that. Then the divine abode of equanimity is a bit more tricky, right? The near enemy is simply not caring, ignorant indifference, anya nupeka. So upeka has a literal sense here. Ignorant indifference, not caring. In Singapore, we use the word bochap. That's the near enemy. And the far enemy is lust and aversion, the two of them, desire and hatred. So equanimity has to be calm, level. So the summary has been given to you on page 134. Some details given to you. You can read out there on your own. So loving kindness, if you have been doing meditation well, you can do them as a set. Right? Loving kindness, and compassion, gladness, and equanimity. But if you notice, if you're aware of the Dharma regularly, you find these are things you need to practice in your daily life. There are times you need to practice loving kindness, most of the time anyway. And there are times that you need to focus a bit more on the compassion, sometimes a bit more on gladness, especially when someone has done well. Then equanimity is to be at peace with yourselves. And here Buddha Gosha gives a story of a mother with four children. This is Visuddhimagga, chapter 9, section 108. This is in the SD 38.5, page 135, section 7.2.1, the last paragraph. And one abiding in the immeasurable state should practice loving kindness and the rest like a mother with 4 sons, namely a young child, a sick child, an adolescent, and one busy with his own affairs. Now she wants the young child to grow up, She wants the sick child to get well, and she wants the adolescent to long enjoy the benefits of youth. But is not at all bothered about the one busy with his own affairs, right? So loving kindness is like she's caring for this young child. Compassion is like she's taking care of her sick son, a sick child. Gladness is she sees the adolescent, a boy happy, enjoying, playing in the field maybe. And then he has this big son who's going around doing his own affairs, so he doesn't have to worry about him. Then Buddha Gosha gives another analogy. Chapter Visuddhimagga, chapter 9, section 40, of a monk who traveled with his companions and he got stopped by a bandit who wants to sacrifice a human being and just needs one person. So here I'm reading from page 7, section 7.2.2. This is the Buddha Gosha's explanation on breaking the barriers. As a positive emotion, our loving kindness is successful when we are able to push aside our resentment for a negative person. It's very important to remember. So, in other words, we have to break all our barriers. So how do we do this? So here, imagine this person is traveling, and then he has a close friend, neutral person, and someone he doesn't like. Neutral person may be, let's say, a temple boy, okay? And someone doesn't like could be, let's say, a layman doesn't donate any money to the temple, so doesn't like it, let's say, okay? So this bandit comes along and says, okay, I need just one person. Who will it be? Right? So according to this, the Buddha Gosha says, if the monk says, take me, spend a lot of the others, that's not loving kindness. That may be noble, yes, but it's not loving kindness. So in Buddhism, we don't say to die someone, I mean, you can be kind, but if this, or worse, if this monk says, oh, take this guy I don't like, you can have him. That's of course definitely not virtuous at all. But the point is if this monk, the right thing for this monk to do is to speak in a very compassionate way and trying to convince this murderer, would be a murderer, not to kill him. The Buddha does that. So if he can do that, then he has done the right thing. He has saved lives. This is the teaching, not to die with somebody, not to be a martyr, but to live, help others. And this is not easy, but it's worth trying. So, coming back again, looking at how loving kindness, loving kindness is done, loving kindness meditation is done. Like breath meditation, we see loving kindness as stages of renunciation. We happily renounce. True renunciation. We practice true renunciation. And we are truly happy, it's easier to renounce. What do we renounce? The whole process of meditation is a progressive renunciation. We sit down peacefully. We are renouncing the body. The body means eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. We're letting go of all the five physical senses, shutting them down for a while, so that we're not troubled by them. We don't have to deal with them for the moment. We're letting go of the body. That is sometimes called kaya viveka. Of course, we go to a quiet place. Right? Wherever we go, we repeatedly observe the place is a quiet place. And then you deal with the thoughts. Gently let go of the thoughts by having positive thoughts, loving kindness, happy thoughts. How do you let go of the thoughts? By feeling. Feel happy. When you feel happy, thoughts go away. And when you're truly happy, your mind is so focused, so peaceful, you have no thoughts at all. Just happy, peaceful. That's called chitta viveka. The mind at peace with itself in a very simple way. And you go on doing this regularly, you're able to clear away those things that cause you suffering. They're called acquisitions, upati viveka, all those things that cause us suffering. We let them go and become awakened. So this idea of feeling is very important to understand in loving kindness practice. To feel means to directly experience joy and peace. Conversely, if you can experience anything directly, a beautiful sunset, a flower, or even someone we are with, especially someone who's kind and wonderful, or even someone who's suffering, and you begin to understand the nature of suffering. You look at this person, you feel with loving kindness, with joy, because you understand the nature of life. And with that joy, you're able to help this person. It's just like you know how to swim and you're on dry land and you're strong, and this person who is struggling in the water, and you're able to help this person. You know very well how to do this. Or you're a doctor, and you're trained in healing people, and you know there's a simple sickness this person is suffering from, in great pain, but you're able to help this person feel good. So you have that joy, and that joy heals and helps people. In fact, loving kindness is not something only we should do. We encourage everyone else to do it, and there are great blessings. 11, to be exact, this is the fullest list. This is page 138. The 11 blessings, 11 benefits of loving kindness. Ekadasa Mettanisansa Sutta, A 11.16. First blessing, one sleeps happily. Right? As you're lying down to sleep, do simple metta. Maybe well, maybe happy, just a few lines, and fall asleep. And the moment you wake up also, the moment you're conscious, maybe well, maybe happy, and you find you wake up happy too. Or you get up in the middle of the night, get into your meditation sequence, your loving kindness sequence. Number 3, one sees no bad dreams, so you have happy dreams. Yeah? I had a great dream a few years ago. I was in his monastery, and there was these few monks. I was kind of on the balcony upstairs, these monks were down there, and these monks were sitting and waiting. They said, "Oh dear, these people have forgotten to give us lunch, you know." I said, "Oh wait, okay, I'll get it for you," and run off and got some food for them. So it was a happy dream of being useful. One is dear to humans. The word dear is Piya, by the way. One is dear to humans. People just like you, or they find they can't hate you, okay? And you're dear to non-humans. Okay, let's take non-humans as animals, okay? They kind of love you. They just come to you and they find you are friendly. You're not dangerous, yeah? Of course, if you go into strange places, new places, it's definitely loving kindness is very helpful when you're traveling, if you're in the jungle, new house, new place, strange place. 6, one is protected by the devas. You believe in devas, heavenly beings. They themselves live in a joyful state, so they see you joyful, they easily connect with you. And these devas who tend to be near you are usually your own relatives. And there are stories that if you treat animals well, they die and they go to heaven and become devas. And they're going to remember you. 7, fire, poison, and weapons cannot harm you. For some reason, if you regularly practice loving kindness, somehow these things won't hurt you. And this is one line I find a bit difficult to explain. It's a sense of, perhaps it's an aura of goodness around you that protects you. I'm sure you hear people telling lots of stories about this. People are good, being protected from such dangers. It's a miraculous practice, miraculous events. Because here in Buddhism, we do not attribute it to some external things. We say, well, if you are filled with loving kindness, these things happen to you. Number 8 is very important. Your mind easily concentrates. So loving kindness is helpful in your meditation. 9, one's countenance is serene, right? So if you want to get a good job, you want to go for a successful interview, loving kindness. Or you want to be a good salesman, loving kindness, right? 10, one dies unconfused, you die at peace with yourself, loving kindness. 11th is the kind of spiritual benefit. And if he penetrates no higher, he goes to the Brahma world. In other words, if you regularly practice loving kindness and you don't attain any of the stages of sainthood, you'll be reborn in the Brahma world. That's what loving kindness is about. So there are various other benefits. You can read up here the details, right? If you would like to know more, section 8 of this study here. So loving kindness is very helpful in meditation. Why? It brings you joy. Now, if you're happy, it's easy to meditate. That is why one of the simplest ways of overcoming distraction in meditation is to smile in your heart, smile within yourself. And if you find it is difficult, try to recall some happy event. And that helps you smile. If that still doesn't work, get up in the morning, go to a mirror, or anytime, just go to the mirror and start stretching your muscles up in practice. Yeah? That helps, that might save your life also. Because being depressed is a habit, being happy is a habit too. So you've got to regularly try yourself, I want to be happy, I am happy. There are higher benefits to all this practice. For example, when you are in deep concentration on loving kindness, and you come out of your meditation, during review period, as you sit there, you reflect, say, wow, this is great, this meditation is so peaceful. But who is this who's feeling all this joy? There's no one, there's just this loving kindness, but no one who's enjoying it. So you reflect on non-self. Right? So, and again you can reflect on impermanence. It is this loving kindness is so wonderful, so peaceful. Like here I am back in the world, and you see the world is full of vicissitudes, uncertainties, impermanence, right? Or suffering. So all the three characteristics are there. So this is how we reflect on loving kindness, leading to wisdom. So you can see loving kindness has a wide range of benefits. So if you would like to know more details on the 4 Brahma Viharas, do read Sutta Discovery, volume 38, chapter 5. Chapter 5, 38.5. Brahma Vihara, the Divine Abode. Alright, so we'll end here then. Any questions?
What about loving kindness practice as a limitation on karma?
Yes,
does it limit karma?
Yeah, that is another aspect. If you regularly keep up your loving kindness practice, the fruits of negative karmas are limited. Whatever action you do in this world will remain here, it won't follow you. I think the explanation is quite simple here. The meaning is that whatever, probably here refers to breaking the precepts. If you're filled with loving kindness, you'll never enjoy breaking the precepts. In fact, why do we keep the precepts? You must keep the precepts with loving kindness, with compassion. If you have lots of compassion, loving kindness, you find it's very easy to keep the precepts. Not to kill, not to steal, not to commit sexual misconduct, not to lie, not to take intoxicants. So if you're filled with loving kindness, when you do break a precept, you will feel quite bad about it. You will reflect, say, why did I do this? Why did I break the precept? Okay, so this will happen. So this is what I should not do, I should do. And you kind of, you protect yourself from future breaches of the precepts. The important thing is your mind is pure, calm, and peaceful. And because your mind is such, there's no way this negative karmic seeds can grow. So it's quite simple as that. That's why loving kindness is so important. And people who hate you, somehow they just find it, they may try very hard to hurt you, but they only go as far as your karma permits. And they find they just can't go anymore, because they also have bad karma, So they're stuck there. So this is where we don't hate our enemies, we don't hate people trying to hurt us. We say, may you be well and happy too. And that really disempowers them in all their negative states. So in a sense, you're helping them too. You're preventing them from doing bad stuff. So that's how loving kindness limits karma. Okay. Any other question? Just another end here. Just a short reflection. Loving kindness empowers us. Loving kindness helps us to look within ourselves and to touch our most wonderful potential for goodness. When you are happy, it is easy for us to keep the precepts. When we are filled with loving kindness, even our bad karma, the fruiting of it is limited. And it is easier for us to do good karma. Reflecting in this way itself is wonderful, good karma. by the power of such good thoughts, may we be at peace with ourselves. May even in this life itself we attain mental focus jhanas. Most importantly, may we attain in this life itself stream wind, first stage state, if not higher. In this peaceful moment, let us send our loving kindness to all our teachers, to all those who have taught us, and also to our loving kindness to those people who have been kind to us, our relatives and friends. Our loving kindness even to those who have hurt us, people we have hurt, that they may be well and happy, come closer to the Dharma. And our loving kindness to all those whom the Dharma have not touched, that they may rejoice to know the Dharma, and that they will awaken to the Dharma. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.